Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. It's super early in the morning, I am super excited because there is no way back. Today we play. The day that we were all waiting for, for so long is finally here. And if yesterday we had an appetizer with 4 games of Serie A for the kickoff 23-24, well, today our Bianconeri will be on the field. Bianconeri against the other Bianconeri, the one of Udinese. In today's video I will try to share you the maximum information so that you are prepared for that first game of Juventus of season 23-24 with predicted lineups, and also giving you the surprise in that predicted lineup, an idea that I woke up with this morning and I have a feeling it will happen, but also of course the words of Max Allegri, important words in that first press conference yesterday, and going towards also the words of Carnevali that until now I still didn't digest. So remain on the channel if you didn't yet. Also for the start, for the kickoff of our Bianconeri, put a maximum of like on today's video. Don't forget to subscribe if you didn't yet, especially if you want to be up to date about everything what's going on around Juventus, about the information but also the entertaining part of Juve. Here is the place to be. So maximum of like, subscribe to the channel because we start. I could start immediately speaking about Udinese, Juve, that for us Bianconeri is super important, but I told you so many times, football is the most important thing of the non-important things, and that's why I wanted to dedicate that video to Carlo Mazzone, ex-coach that passed away yesterday at 86 years old. A coach that didn't coach Juventus, he did Bologna, Brescia, Roma, iconic run when he was the coach of Brescia, running towards the Ultra of Atalanta, but not only that, it's also the coach that launched Francesco Totti as a regular starter in that first team. It's a coach that coached, for example, Roberto Baggio, and probably the only coach who Roberto Baggio had a great relationship with. He also coached a guy that you all know, like Pep Guardiola. It's an important person, an important legend, an important icon that yesterday said goodbye to all of us. And why am I starting to give so much importance to someone that had no affiliation with Juventus? It's because for my generation, well, it's someone that is representing calcio. The old calcio that disappeared with the years, the old calcio that I'm scared, that I'm fearing that will not be back since really, really long. We will have to wait really long to see again calcio rising back, and my question is, when will it be? So if it would be possible, give us again human or person like Carletto, as a lot of people were calling him, Carletto Mazzone, because with more people like him, football, calcio would have been much better. Now that we spoke about Carlo Mazzone, I really want to go towards Udinese Juve. First, of course, let's go back to Corriere dello Sport, that is not speaking about Juve, they don't care at all, but they are speaking about the other ones, about Inter and Napoli, subito padroni, immediately the bosses of Serie A. I made a video yesterday about it that you can find here, clicking here or here, I don't remember. You can click and you can see what my opinions were about the 4 first game of Serie A, but it's true that going to the title, they were immediately the bosses, with Osimhen a brace, but also Lautaro Martinez a brace. The security and how they played, the awareness of being the strongest one and the favorites of Serie A, well, they show it yesterday on the field. Gazzetta dello Sport is showing in big page Lautaro Martinez, a bit smaller Osimhen with Napoli. Lautaro spacca, Lautaro is breaking La Ligue probably, and then Osimhen al bacio with the kisses because he scored yesterday 2 goals, but then they go towards something else. Signora Vlahovic, Lady Vlahovic, because they are saying Dusan with Chiesa and the Joker Pogba on the bench. Speaking about the game of today, Juve, here the reinforcements. If it's true that Juventini are disappointed about the Mercato, but you know it, if you are loyal on the channel, I already anticipated you that you would be probably disappointed in the names that you will see linked to Juve, and probably the one that would arrive with only a new face like Timothy Weah, and then some returns from loans like Nicolussi Caviglia, Cambiaso, etc, etc. Well, there is not a lot of things that we can say, wow, it's new, except of probably 3 players that we were missing for a lot of part last season. Paul Pogba, iconic player of Juventus, or maybe he had to be the poster man of 22-23, he didn't play. Federico Chiesa, that we had to wait against that Paris Saint-Germain game to see him a few minutes, but probably we didn't see the real Chiesa until that Udinese game, the last one of Serie A 22-23, that he was able to unlock and to give us the 3 points. And then Dusan Vlahovic, that is not yet at 100% like yesterday Max Allegri was confirming in the press conference, but much better than he was doing a few weeks ago. So 3 reinforcements. It is true, it's not a secret that without Mercato exit, without Mercato entry, a lot of the destiny of 23-24 will depend on these 3 men. Today will be the 99th time that we are playing against Udinese in Serie A, excluding all the other cups like Coppa Italia, etc, etc. We won against them 67 times, we drew 18 and we lost 13 times. Udinese is not an easy game, don't forget that, because if we go back in the history of the last starting games of Serie A for Juventus, well, Juventus won 6 times, they drew 1 and they lost 1 in the last 8 years. 6 wins, but then a draw against Udinese, the one of 2 seasons ago. We all remember, especially Szczesny remembers that game. And then also the loss in 2015, the last time that we lost an opening game, and it was against Udinese 1-0. It was in our home. Today we are playing in their home. Juventus that has no other choice to win today. Let's not lie about it. We have to go, we have to win. In press conference yesterday, Max Allegri told us something super important. He said, last year, when we played, we had a big problem, because our problems were especially when we were playing away from home. If you're looking at the differences between Napoli and Juventus in terms of points, away from home, Juventus had 30 points, that's absolutely not enough, while Napoli had 45. So that's something that we have to increase, and it starts immediately. You know, the big link between last year and this year will probably be Federico Chiesa, the most informant, because if we told you about the 3 iconic men, Pogba, Vlahovic and Chiesa, the one that is at 100% is Chiesa, the one that last year was able to score the last goal and that I'm confident that is able to open the score this year. Federico Chiesa as a leader in that 3-5-2 in a new position for him. I'm really curious to see if yes or no my prediction can be correct. Then what else did Max Allegri said yesterday in press conference? Well, before going towards what he said, I want to go towards the behavior that was totally different than the last 2 years. It was not a joking Max. It was not one that is arriving with a big smile, super happy, relaxed, without any signs of being worried about Serie A. No, it was a serious professional Max. Totally different, and this is something that I yesterday appreciated. You know how much I love to joke, how much I love to laugh, how much I don't take myself serious, but I believe that yesterday we had to, or he had to, send a big message of being serious and taking that new season with a lot of seriousness, and that was already a beautiful positive thing. He spoke about enthusiasm that we were able to feel, all of us. We said it, we feel a positive vibes in the team, that what we saw in LA, in San Francisco, in Orlando, in that J family game that we saw playing against the next gen, also in the Atalanta game. There are smiles, there are positive atmosphere. Great, fantastic, but again, we can maintain that enthusiasm only with wins, and that starts immediately today. What is the objective? I hope it will be the last time that I repeat it, because watching and reading on social media, I again saw people misinterpreting the words of Max and the objectives of Juventus. I repeat it once and for all, Juventus, every single time that they start a competition, whatever competition they are playing in, the objective is to try to have the max from that competition. And what is the max? It is winning that competition. This is the objective of the start of the season of Juventus every single year. Then you have a minimal objective, and that minimal objective is in terms of prestige, in terms of elite, but especially now more and more in terms of financing, especially in terms of surviving as a big club, and it is qualifying to Champions League, because through the qualification that even last year we did on the field, well, the future depends a lot on more and more, but the objective on the field is to start trying to win it. Then will it happen or not? That's a big question mark that we will be able to understand more towards the month of March, the month of April, to see where we will be at that moment. Will we win it? Again, I don't have the crystal ball. Let's see what will happen, but it starts with today. What are the big things that are important as well in the words of Max Allegri yesterday in terms of individualities? I already told you about Vlahovic being better, but not yet at 100%. But I also told you, or not yet, about Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba, that was a question mark. Would he be called up, yes or no? Yesterday in press conference, Max said, I need to evaluate it, where a lot of people were already pessimist. No, he will not be there. In the live of yesterday, I told you, if I was Max, even if Pogba would not be ready to play, I would take him with me. I will take him, I will put him on the bench to scare Udinese, because when you have a Pogba that can potentially enter, you are scaring him. And then for a second reason, for himself, for his confident boost, to feel that he's involved in today's game, to feel that from the start, from day one, is a football player and not like some people, you know, the bad guys, the trendy guys, are saying a poster man, one that is just there for marketing. So important ones. And one thing that really surprised me yesterday was the non-verbal expression of Max Allegri when he pronounced the name of Yildiz, saying, ragazzi, our attack at the moment without Mercato is great. Chiesa, Vlahovic, Milik, Moise Kean, but we also have a guy that is coming from the youth academy, and it is Yildiz. And I can tell you, he's a good player. Yesterday, the face of Max Allegri when he was speaking about him was just fantastic, revealing how much he was impressed. Last thing that he said that was really important was about the fact that we are still with too many players, including Ciao Juventini, excluding the unwanted players like Bonucci, Piazza, for example. We are with 28 players today. 28 are way too much. Yesterday he said even with 24, 25 we are too much, and we will have to understand what is the best way to make some players from our team go and play, because being here for 1 year, being on the bench with one competition only, is not great. Who will be these players that will leave? Can it be Miretti? Can it be Sule? The two names that could potentially go on loan to a Bologna, to a Salernitana. Let's discover it. Is Nicolosi safe of his spot? According to Di Marzio, yes, but according to the reality, we don't know. We will have to understand. What about Weston McKennie? So the exit mercato is absolutely not closed. But when you are looking at the players that were called up yesterday, 28 players, 25 players, 3 were missing. The injured De Sciglio. Then we had Caio Jorge, that I told you is not ready to play, and then we have Moise Kean. On Moise Kean, and then we'll start speaking about other things. Yesterday we had one version that was starting to grow and to grow and to grow, was that he was not injured. Yesterday Max Allegri confirmed that it's because of a knock, and that next week on Tuesday when we start training back he will be there. There was another version saying that he was put out of the team because he arrived 2, 3, 4 times too late to the meetings or training session, which is absolutely not allowed. Something that happened already in the past. We all remember that Atletico Madrid friendly last year, well, has been really totally denied by Juventus, by the journalists that were in contact with Juventus, but also with the entourage of the player. So at the moment it is really because of a knock. Let's see if Moise Kean will still be there on the 2nd of September, because he is a name that is on the market. Entry mercato, yesterday Max Allegri said, I don't know what will happen. Will that be the team? I have no idea. The management is taking care of it. He didn't speak about Berardi. He didn't speak about Lukaku. But of course, something can still happen in the 11 remaining days of the mercato. And then there is something that I'm expecting also of today. Next to the win, next to have a nice team, next to have a beautiful offensive game, next to have the confirmation of what I saw in LA, in US, in the game against Atalanta, I want a sense of revenge. I want hunger. Hunger is the name, is the word, the key word of what I'm expecting from my boys today. Hunger for the qualification in Champions League they took away from us last year, because how bad we played last year, and this is something that you are correct in, we did it. We qualified for Champions League. They just took it away from us. I want the hunger to take it back. I want hunger for the 3 last year that we didn't win the Scudetto. I want the hunger for all the people that were against Juve, that put so many dirt on our colors that are the black and the white. And I also want our players to understand that it's not okay to always speak bad about Juve. And if they do, we just can't accept it. What is the best answer is on the field, winning games and performing and convincing. Because if a sporting director like Carnevali, one day before the kickoff of the, or actually the day of the kickoff of Serie A, is going out on Gazzetta dello Sport with a double page, speaking about Berardi, speaking about their operation, this is something that I never saw in my life. I don't remember, and I read the papers since years now, I don't remember in the Mercato session a sporting director writing a double page on a paper on the most important page of Italy saying, no, Giuntoli didn't respect the deadline. He didn't respect the deadline that I gave him to go with an official bid for Berardi. These kind of things, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. These kind of things happen probably after Mercato session or in a book when your career is finished, when you want to speak about what happened in the past. Sometimes it happened years later when you speak about the possibility of a player that could have joined the team and that didn't do it. But in a Mercato session, a sporting director going on with a double page saying Giuntoli didn't respect it, strange strategy. And again, it's against Juventus, speaking bad about Juventus, trying to put dirt on our name. I want our players to understand that this is not acceptable. I want our players to say, we don't care about Berardi, we don't care about this, we don't care, we want to show you on the field. So that sense of revenge is high on me. This is how I will feel all season long, and I expect that our players will do the same. If we finish the video, it's quite long, I was not expecting it to be that long, with the starting lineups. Well, the predicted ones are more or less the one that I told you, with Szczesny in the goal, Alexandro, Bremer, Danilo, confirmed by Gazzetta dello Sport and Tuttosport. I told you why Gatti is not playing according to the predicted lineup. Then if Allegri changes his mind, can happen, but I told you it's to give a bit of cover to Wea on that right side of the field, with Danilo with more experience, less aggressive on the man than Gatti. Then in the middle, Cambiaso is at the moment winning the game against Kostic on the left, with Wea on the right, Rabiot, Locatelli, Miretti up front, Chiesa and Vlahovic. I told you about that lineup a few days ago. Yesterday I started hesitate about Cambiaso, Kostic. That's the only doubt I have, but I will tell you another thing. And that's the end of the video. I told you in the beginning. I woke up this morning with a surprise. The surprise of Max. You know that I see Hans Nicolussi Caviglia in the starting lineup. Will it happen or not? Is it because I like the player? Is it? I don't know. But I see personally Hans Nicolussi Caviglia in the starting lineup today against Udinese. Let's see if I will be right or wrong. We will discover that after the lineups will be shared. For the rest of the day today, I will be on Twitch in Italian for the watch along, and here of course we start again with the usual post game live. Grazie, forza, Juve.